Hi boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and Gorilla fans all over the world. My name's Robbo and this is Gorilla TV. And tonight on Gorilla Talk we have the absolute pleasure of sitting down with the Quaffle W Reserves coaches Isabelle, Krippner and Megan Boscoe. It's weird calling you that because to me you're just Krippner and Boscoe. Guys, welcome to Gorilla Talk.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Robbo.
Absolute pleasure to have you legends on. This is going to be fun. We usually don't have two on the show at once, so this is either going to go really, really well or disastrous. So hope it's going to be one of the first ones. Obviously, you're big watchers of the show.
Big long time listener.
Big long time listener watchers. Can you tell us a little bit about your family, where you grew up? Now, you could both do it the same and finish it like your own sentences, like those
We
chicks
actually
did
didn't
up
grow up together.
on the Sunshine Coast, or we can go it one at a time.
I'll let you go first, Bea.
Yeah, too easy. So yeah, obviously grew up in a little small town in Tasmania, and yeah, I have mum, dad, and two brothers. And yeah, obviously grew up playing footy. Absolutely loved it. And then yeah, both my brothers also love footy as well. So I think it was just in my genes that I was gonna also, yeah, I enjoy it and play it and now coach it. So yeah.
Nice. Cripper.
I'm a Brisbane gal, born and bred, so did not grow up playing footy. I'm one of three girls. My mum and dad are from Brisbane as well. Well, my mum's from Port Macquarie actually in New South Wales. My dad's from Germany, so there was no AFL with their background.
Yep.
So I didn't grow up playing it and only came into footy a lot later on through dad. He was part of the medical team of the Lions in the early 2000s. So I thought, oh, this is all right sport-wise, and said, you girls should come watch this. I don't think he thought any of us would play it. And lo and behold, couldn't stay away. So
there you go. So different, I suppose, big backgrounds in coming into AFL.
Yeah.
So obviously Tasmania,
Yeah.
that is generally the main sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
Down
Yeah, absolutely.
Who'd you play for when you played in Tasmania?
I played for a little country town called Latrobe, and we actually, some friends and I created the actual women's football team at that club. They only ever had a men's team. So my friends and I thought, this is, we need to do something about this. Like, we want to play footy too. So,
so you created?
Yeah. So we started the Latrobe Women's Football Club, and in our first season we actually won the flag. So yeah, that's something I definitely hold pretty special to my heart.
That's actually pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
Did not know that. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
It's
Hold that one away.
You guys are like really best of friends.
I was just saving it for
We talk a
Robbo.
lot about footy, yeah.
It's true, isn't it? Because this is going to Tassie.
Yeah.
This is going live into Latrobe. Isn't it?
Latrobe.
Yeah. No, fantastic. And what were you guys like as young kids? Were you quiet and shy? Were you cheeky little rascals? I can imagine you would have been a cheeky little rascal, Cripper.
Yeah, look, I've never been described as quiet and shy. I actually found one of my old report cards recently, and my teacher said something like, pleasure to teach, needs to learn to stop talking.
Oh my God.
And you know what?
You sound like the female version of me.
Yeah.
I was exactly the same. What about yourself?
Yeah, actually touching on that, I remember my cards was always like distracts others and easily distracted. So yeah, we probably we were probably similar kids growing up, but yeah, I was definitely the little tomboy at school and carried that into my teenage years. But yeah, I was definitely a little bit of a terror for mum and dad, I'm sure at times.
So no, probably playing with Barbie dolls, more Tonka trucks?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Always stealing my brother's Action Men and Lego. So yeah.
What sort of action men did you have?
Oh, I don't know, like just the ones that came with like the bike and like rocket launchers and stuff.
Rocket launchers?
Tasmania.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're... action men with rocket launchers. You just didn't have rocket launchers.
Yeah.
It's a bit worried. So you said you played AFL. What sports did you play, Cripper?
I grew up as a swimmer, so back to what I was like as a child, my favourite stroke as a kid was backstroke because I could talk while swimming.
Wow,
grew up swimming from learn to swim through to the end of high school into uni a little bit. Went into water polo in high school, really loved that. Did rowing.
That's pretty tough, water polo, isn't it?
Yeah. I was medically retired from water polo after 2 shoulder recons.
Wow.
So then thought footy.
Yeah.
Why not? Actually, I went through cheerleading after that, and then.
So medically retired from water polo, and then you jumped straight into football.
Well, then I went to water polo, and then I had.
I went
to cheerleading, had another shoulder recon.
Cheerleading.
came to footy, had a knee recon, so yeah.
Nice. How did cheerleading go?
Good.
What was your cheer?
There was actually competitive cheerleading.
Yeah.
So there was no, well, unless you do it for your university or for school, there's no
Right.
actual chant. It was all star, so it's like throwing people in the air, doing flips and stuff. So
Yeah, cool.
yeah, did that for 7 years.
I don't think we've ever had anyone do a flip live on the Gorilla Talk. I reckon that'd be pretty
you
cool,
won't. You
Boscoe.
still won't.
Yeah.
I still won't.
I can do like a roll on the ground. I was there for strength, not for my finesse.
It's not big finesse. You were there at the bottom to hold all
Yeah,
the,
I was a back
hold,
spot.
hold
Yeah.
all the people up. Who were your heroes growing up? Was there anyone you guys looked up to or inspired to? Was it rock stars? Was it footy players? Was it singers? Was it mum and dad?
Yeah, mine was always I always loved Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I think like being a young kid in the early 90s, I just remember like watching basketball with my brothers and that late 90s kind of period of the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan. Like, yeah, I just remember we'd never miss a game and, you know, we were always taping the games that they were playing. And I think as a kid, I always like aspired like just his mental attitude towards sport and stuff. And
Yeah.
I always, when that question gets asked, I don't know why, but my brain always just resorts back to him.
Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
The Chicago Bulls jersey, 23 on the...
Oh, I've got a little one as a kid. I still have
you
it.
still have it?
It's
You
about
should've
this
bought it in,
big. And
small child.
Small child bib. But yeah, it's an original from the 90s. So
You can
yeah,
save it, maybe. Kids,
absolutely,
kids one
yeah.
day. You
Yeah,
never
It's
know.
pretty
You
great for
never
the
know.
Looney Tunes as well.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
was pretty
Yeah.
powerful movie.
Oh, was it Space Jam?
Space
Space
Jam.
Jam. Yeah.
Space Jam?
Yeah.
And I think they did another one with
An absolute
LeBron James.
classic. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably that was good.
What about yourself, Legend?
Well, growing up as a swimmer, Susie O'Neill was my idol.
Yeah.
Definitely. You look at her even these days, she's still doing amazing things. So I was really desperately wanted to be like her, go to the Olympics, do all that sort of stuff. Hated butterfly, so
Yeah.
didn't quite go on that trajectory. But and my sisters sounds really silly, not silly, but
That's
like,
silly.
my sisters were my idols. I was always trying to be like them. Like so I'm youngest of three. Where within my older sister's 3 years older than me, then 18 months to my next sister. So
Yep.
I was like, I would get the same haircut as them. I'd wear the same clothes as them. I would not leave them alone. They hated it.
So you're a dork.
Yeah, yeah, yes, I am. Still am now. I'm proud of it.
That's cute. That's very cute.
Yeah, they didn't think so.
Yeah. So no TV stars or celebrities or anything like that. Or, no. Just Suzanne Hill.
Such a long time ago.
No, that's all right. When you get older, you forget these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what I had for breakfast.
What did you have for breakfast, Boscoe?
Oh, I had yogurt. Yogurt and berries. A little bit of protein powder.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you're
She's an
what do you call
athlete.
it? Carb load? Is it
Yeah,
carb load?
look after
Ready for
myself.
game day?
Not really.
Big game this week. Now, I assume you guys both attended high school. Firstly, did you enjoy it? And secondly, did you have any idea what you wanted to do when you finished school? Boscoe, yourself, mate.
God, I wanted to play with the dolphins at SeaWorld growing up. That was my dream.
I have a friend who does do that as a job.
Yeah. So that was my dream, and then it was shattered after my first trip to SeaWorld. So, honestly, I wasn't a bad kid in high school, but I finished school and I just wanted to work and make money and travel. So as soon as year 12 was over, I knuckled down and I got 2 jobs straight away and started saving money and
Working girl.
that next year after school, I got the travel bug and
People's looking at me like I was trying to say something wrong then, but I wasn't. It's funny that you said dolphin train at SeaWorld because
Oh God, yeah.
actually when I was in Melbourne in my younger days, that used to be my pickup line. I used to say that I was a dolphin trainer at SeaWorld or I was a Richmond AFL rookie because back in the day you didn't have the phones and nothing.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Is that how you get your wife?
Yeah.
No. That's another story for another show. But yeah, fantastic. What about yourself?
I love school and
I bet you did.
yeah, I'm a big dork. I am still a big nerd and a big I've never really left school because I have worked for universities ever since I stopped studying. So
I can imagine, Krippner, we're going out to a party this weekend. No, I need to stay at home and study my history assignment.
I'm a scientist, so
Scientist?
history's not quite my way. But
Oh.
I really love school and I loved the aspect of sport and studying as well. So I was pretty lucky with this way that my school supported me to do that. I really leaned into science. From when I was in grade 1, I wanted to be a dentist all the way through to third year uni when I realised that I was never going to be a dentist. So
Why couldn't you be a dentist?
I didn't get into dentistry.
Okay.
So I applied and didn't get in, and then just kind of went a different path. So then I went through uni and studied science, and then realised that I really loved that aspect of it, and maybe didn't actually want to be a dentist.
The scientist is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, you're the first scientist I've had on the show.
Pretty
Must
cool.
admit.
Scientist and a cheerleader.
Wow.
It's interesting.
That's sexy. That's sexy there. Scientist and a cheerleader. Well, that was funny. Now, when and how did you guys make your way down to the Mighty Gorillas?
Oh,
Well, I know how you did it.
Yeah, you go first, Krippy.
So what year was it? 2020 actually. So I decided that my cheerleading career was over.
Yeah.
And I was coaching cheer, but wanted to. I don't like going to the gym. I don't like going for a run with no purpose. So I need to do some kind of sport to stay active. And I'm not gonna just do that on my own, because that's just not the kind of person I am. I need a bit of social stimulation to get inspired. So I've been following footy for ages. Big Lions fan, diehard Lions fan, and I was like, why don't I try playing AFL? Like, it can't be that hard. I yell at them from the sidelines every weekend anyway. I know exactly what I'm doing.
What did Mum and Dad say when you said, I'm going to get in AFL?
My dad said, you're going to do your knee.
Yeah. So he gave you a lot of
A lot
hope.
of support,
lot of
yeah.
support.
And Mum said, you're 27 years old, Isabelle.
Yeah.
So, you know.
As long as you'd been knowing you would have been like, I'm doing it!
Yeah. This is my dream. I'm going to get drafted. So I did some Googling, found like clubs around me. Closest one was actually UQ, but because I studied at UQ, worked at UQ, all that sort of stuff, I needed a break from wearing maroon.
Yeah.
So I came across GRANGE. A girl that I used to row with actually was a ruck here the year before. And so I reached out to her and said, hey, what did you think? Like, was it a good place for new football players? Because she was a very serious rower, like went to Olympics and stuff like that. So like AFL was just a little part.
I feel like your paths are different. Like Boscoe seems to be very sort of
Footy.
blue collar, hard work, and yours is I'm rowing with the girls, and I come from UQ and I'm off to science school.
Science school. UQ was the science school.
And I'm going to make it in AFL, mummy and daddy, and I will prove you wrong.
And look at me now. And I came on down, and it was a really welcoming place. I knew no one. I honestly, glad I even got out of the car in the first place on the first day. It was absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, I can imagine it probably would have been. Because
I even had to Google what kind of shoes do AFL players wear. I was like, are they the same as soccer boots? Because I tried to play soccer once for uni games.
Did you come down in clogs or something?
No.
Yeah.
You did a bit of research.
Did a bit of research, bought some $5 footy boots off eBay.
Wow, can we sell it for $5?
Yeah.
No, that wasn't on the website.
We'll have to get that up. We got that up, Michelle?
And then, came down, loved it. COVID hit, was the strangest first season of footy ever. Had plenty of time to work on my skills because I had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And just kept coming back. Yeah.
God, that was a weird first year to start.
It was so strange. Our first game, we played the first game. I remember we played on a Friday night against UQ, but played at Kedron because of restrictions and things like that.
Yeah.
Won. Should have just one game, one win.
Called it then.
Yeah. And then went into lockdown, so we were out for, and I can't even remember how long, but didn't play. We had to train in small groups and things like that. So it was hard to make friends.
Yeah.
But it was really, really interesting, and it's a good story to tell.
Cool. So obviously journey at GRANGE started in 2023. Obviously had played a fair bit of footy, crosstown rivals at Cooperoo, and it was probably just missing like a bit of a spark in my footy, and was contemplating what to do, whether to have a bit of time away, and I came down to a couple of GRANGE trainings, and it, as Kripp touched on, it was just such a welcoming club, and so many supportive people, not just the other playing group but coaches as well. And I just knew literally after a couple of sessions that this was going to be where I wanted to keep playing footy for a long time. And I never thought 3 years down the track I'd be taking on a coaching role, but here we are. And honestly, I've loved every minute of it. So
I remember her first training, because it wasn't here, we were at some other field, and enhanced football came to do some
Yep.
kicking skills with us,
Yep.
and I remember saying to, I think it was to Claudia afterwards, being like, I'm sure they've just come down to use the enhanced football. Like, they're not actually going to come and play here.
That's funny.
Some early perks.
Yeah, I was like, they're just using us for our resources. Respectfully.
What was it you guys that you loved about the game, and how would you describe yourself as players? How would you describe yourself? Because I'm thinking of your response.
Yeah.
That's why. How would you describe yourself as players?
How would you describe us as players? You coached me 1 year.
I would say very reliable, hard-nosed backman.
Loud.
Yes, you were very talkative on the ground.
Constructive.
Constructive. You positioned very, very well. You read the play very well. And you know what? I always thought you would end up a coach because you're such a student of the game.
Lovely.
I think that's pretty good. Any more than that?
Summed up
Copy
well.
and paste that. That's me.
I just would never have put you forward, so which we didn't. And Boscoe, you know, obviously Boscoe's coming into later into the career. Used the footy very, very well. Another you know, student of the game, great talker, great with the younger players. I thought at the football club, sort of helping mentor and guide them, which you're in essence doing now. And just a solid sort of backman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
She's in the forwards now.
I have rotated up forwards now, so I'm
Just scored a couple.
kick a bag on the
We
weekend.
got some good backmen now, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that I've retired. What was the question?
How would you describe yourself as players?
Gosh, like I said, student of the game. That's something I'm extremely passionate about from a coaching perspective, but I've always been passionate about from a player's perspective across any of the sports I've done. Like, I'm a bit of a nerd. We've touched on that, and I'm a footy nerd as well. I always tried to go out and get as much information as possible and really kind of fuel my brain so I can make good choices on the field.
Yeah. Well, I thought you knew your limitations.
Yeah, like
Probably.
I'm not a quick person. I said I don't like running.
So
So
you
I
knew
needed
what
to
you
learn
could
how
do.
to do everything else without that. So I had to find my weapons in spite of those weaknesses that I had, and I like to think that I worked really hard to figure out what those were and kind of hone those weapons. Because that's so important as a player, that you know what your strengths are as well as knowing what the weaknesses are, and you need to build both of them up. So.
Yeah, and look, one of the biggest things, and trying to get this into youth footy these days, is talking and using your voice, which is something that you're really, really good at, which is probably an underrated skill, I think.
Easiest stat to get.
Yep,
Absolutely.
100%. What about you, Bossy?
Yeah, and I think like that, touching on that, that's probably like what I've always enjoyed about football is maybe like as a young kid watching football, I always liked watching the leaders and being a Bombers supporter.
Sorry.
Laugh now. Get it out now. You know, your James Hird, Matthew Lloyds, like even,
When,
you know.
when you were good.
Sorry.
Yeah. Those times.
That's right. Yeah, I just remember like I always wanted to like channel those types of players. I love the way they communicate out there on the field, and I would hope that in my career that's probably something that I've always kept at the pinnacle. It's being a leader out there on the field, and as you said, most of that just comes through voice. And I think as I've gotten a little bit older now, I really, really enjoy these younger girls coming through and being able to share some type of wisdom out there on the field to them. And nothing makes me more prouder or happier to have someone come up to me during or after a game and say like, oh, thank you so much for like, you know, explaining that to me or taking the time to show me that, like, I know what I'm doing now. Or
It's
so
the best feeling, and when you see someone do something that you're like, you've worked with them on, there's nothing better,
Absolutely.
because these kids that are coming through are also, they're going to be way better football
Well,
players than we could
that's-
ever be. So if we can have any kind of help in that
Yeah.
aspect, and it's cool having played with a lot of them or still playing with them now.
Absolutely, yeah.
Watching them and seeing how you can help them with that, things that maybe they haven't had that challenge of learning a bit later, or like applying a different approach to it because they've grown up playing it. So it's pretty cool that way.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's hugely important for you guys to be mentoring and doing that. And
Absolutely, yeah.
I think obviously one of the arts of coaching is the players knowing that you actually genuinely care. And
Absolutely,
I think if you've got that, you're laughing.
Yeah,
So that's great.
Absolutely.
What are some of the greatest moments or memories you've had so far, both on and off the field? And bearing in mind this is a PG channel, so maybe we better keep it to maybe on the field. I don't know.
Is this for Grange? Or like just a...
We've had a few successes
Oh,
otherwise.
no. You can tell me your successes you've had at other clubs. That's fine. It's your story, mate. This is...
Yeah, I just obviously that the one back home in Tasmania springs first to mind.
Yeah.
Being the inaugural team at that club, and honestly, it was just a conversation drunk with some friends one night to be like, let's try and get a women's footy team up at the local club. You know, a lot of their husbands or boyfriends played, and we were kind of sick of just watching on a Saturday, so we thought, oh well, let's give it a go.
What was your song?
It was the Melbourne Demons.
Okay.
We were the Demons, the Latrobe Demons. So shout out to you guys back home.
What are the colours?
Demons.
Yes,
red and blue.
Red and blue.
There
you go.
Yeah, and actually the grand final is a great story. So the team we'd come up against on that day had beaten us twice that year, quite convincingly, like your 50, 60 point type wins. So we really went into the grand final like thinking that was just history would repeat, and something just changed that day, and we ran away with it in the end. So it's probably one of my favourite football
So
memories.
what changed apart from outscoring them in the end? What was?
I think sheer will. Like and I think the biggest thing, and I take this into like footy now, and I'm hoping that we're using it to coach these girls, is you've got to get along with the people around you. And I think on that day, we were just, by that point of the year, we were all just such good friends. Like, you actually worked so hard for the person next to you because you cared about them too. So I think that was the difference at the end of the day. We just generally really liked each other and wanted to win.
Yeah, you're doing it for not just for yourself but for everyone around you.
That's it.
Don't have that connection. And
absolutely.
Did you get the keys to the Latrobe City?
Oh, not quite. I got to chase that up.
Is there a city?
I got to chase that up with it. We probably got the keys to the local pub because we were in there for 3 days afterwards.
I tell you, they have got some great pubs. I love Tasmania.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great spot.
Can't say I've ever played in a grand final or a final. So very different career trajectories there. As you would know, the women's program here in the past few years has had a lot of challenges. So from great challenges come great successes. So I'd say one of the biggest highs was the last win last year, which actually turned out to be my last game. We're up at Maroochydore, and we'd lost to them by a couple of points when we played them the first time here at home. And then it was the last round of the season. We just fought to the very end. It was a pretty chaotic game from memory. Like, there are parts that I just do not remember. And for anyone that hasn't played at Maroochydore grounds, the field that you're on is quite short, and like the 50 pretty much touches the centre square. And so we were up by a few points, and there's no clock winding it down at that grounds. And so the ball then starts coming into the backs, and as you said, I'm a backs player, and as we've also said, I'm not very fast. And my player gets away from me and has a run on me, and I'm chasing him down.
The coach is like,
I'm like,
we've only got Krippner in the last line of defence.
And I've never been more slow-mo, more stressed. I've also never run so fast in my life. And I made a contest, wound the time down, the clock went, and I think we cried. You would have thought we might have been final. We had lost every game that season, had no ties, our percentage wasn't great, and we won that last game, and the double dubs, as we called it.
It was a good one.
It was really good. The drive back from Rachel was lovely.
Doesn't have to be a premiership even.
Well, it will be.
Just a special.
It will be as a coach.
Well, your best moments are still to come, mate.
Yeah.
Maybe your best moments
Call
are
me
still to
Chris
come. Yeah, let's do that. This is probably a question more for Krippner, but what are some of the biggest and most important changes you've seen at the club in the women's space in your time? And you can jump into Boscoe.
Absolutely,
Well, I think when Boss came, it was probably that really big turning point for the women's program. And I know when I first started, we were a couple of years out of winning our first premiership. There had been a lot of player turnover, and just a lot of changes within the club. And from those first couple of years I was here, it was really challenging. We had a lot of player retention issues, and just culturally, and that's a word that gets thrown around a lot, but I truly believe culturally it's something we had a lot of work to do. And then there was this moment where the club and Dean and Trow were big parts, and they stood up and like, we're gonna really look at our women's program, we're gonna lift them up, we're gonna help them. And that was 2023 when Boss came along. It was all for her.
You got some really good people in 23 that came down to.
And some really terrible ones. There was this
support,
one guy, Rock and Robbo.
Geez, I wasn't talking about me.
But that was when it really turned around. We had we invested in the support staff. Really, just took a whole program approach rather than, because off the field is what makes you win on the field, really. And we're really
Never understood that, but it does.
But it does, yeah. Someone smart once said it, and they knew what they were talking about. It wasn't you, Robbo.
No.
And it's just like we've got the right people around it that genuinely care across the board, and that goes from the top of the club all the way through. And there's a lot more investment, time-wise and emotionally and mentally in the women's program, which has seen, I mean, our seniors are sitting pretty well on the ladder at the moment. I think definitely in finals contention, and Resi's also moving up as well. So,
well, you kept a good, probably for the last 2 or 3 years, you kept a good core group of players.
Yeah.
And you've got, from what I've seen, tell me if I'm wrong, but you have a lot more depth now in that space. Not knocking the players that were here before, but you certainly do have a lot more depth, and they seem a lot fitter.
Yeah. We had it was started out with Channa, who was our
Fantastic.
strength,
legend.
conditioning, just all around doctor of the world. And then she moved to Canberra, but we got Mel in at that role now, and Mel's equally fantastic. So like that strength and conditioning, that support through there to build the bodies of the athletes has been good. So
good summary.
Yeah, nice. I'm going to go over to my next question. Probably we're just discussing that. How important is it to have such professional support now in the women's space, both on and off the field? Obviously, we've got the welfare people too, which is obviously a huge part now. Never was a thing back when I was playing, or probably even in the women's space.
100%,
6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I've come from multiple other sports at varying levels, and some of them have been relatively high levels, and we didn't have that kind of professional support system. So I think it's relatively new to have this investment in the players as more than just on the field investment. Like I can't remember ever having anyone my mum used to do all my taping when I played water polo. I did my own taping. You'd bring your own tape and turn up and hope for the best, or you'd go to your physio beforehand, and then if something happened, you'd go find your own physio.
Did you know how to tape, or you just sort of
I got really good at it eventually.
Whacked it on there.
YouTube,
I got really
She'd walk out and people are like, who's that person with weird tape? It's not really doing anything.
I was broken enough that I got really good at it eventually.
Like a mummy.
I use a lot of tape. That's why the club's got saved me so much money on tape now that I don't play.
You don't play nice.
But yeah, it's so interesting to see the change of that through time as far as the way that the sport is invested in. I've never played men's sport, so I don't know how it is that way, but it's really cool to have such a holistic approach, like with the well-being and with the strength and conditioning, the physios. It's just treats people as more than just someone who runs out on the field and plays a sport. It's really cool. So
no, definitely. And kind of thinking back to like those early days of playing footy in Tassie, similar, like we certainly didn't have a trainer there pre-game and all this support that this club has, and it's just, I think it's so important too, because there's such a competition out there for it to have, there's all these other clubs coming up with these great new ideas, so you kind of, you almost have to jump on as well. But I think this club does it like exceptionally well. Like to have the support that we do, it's just going to keep girls coming back.
What was training like for the Latrobe Demons?
I think we just made it up on the spot.
Just a lap.
See ball, kick ball.
How many footies did you have?
Oh, I mean, it was freezing. You had layers and beanies and gloves on. It was get in a square and kick the footy for an hour.
Nice.
Get home and have a hot cup of soup.
Now, Tassie is
Brisbane winters are also really
we
hard.
still have a gravel oval.
I remember, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, I went with Michelle for a holiday during the off-season of football, and staying at a nice hotel, and I thought I was going running at that stage. I thought I was going to go for a run, chuck my shorts on and my t-shirt. I got down to the lobby, and I'm thinking it's a bit cold. Yeah. And then I got out and I did like about 50 metres, and I ran back inside, got my tracksuit pants on and my jumper, and then
it's a different level of cold down there.
Did it ever snow when you were playing here?
No, it never snowed. You can there's certain fields where there's mountains in the backdrop with actual snow. Cool. Yeah, it's not. No, it's not.
You'd never.
I think it's cool.
You'd never play snow. No.
I've gone skiing.
Yeah. Not playing football though.
Yeah. No. I've gotten hot tub and
stuff.
Now we're just on the PG rating. I'm just in case you get too comfortable. That's all. Now, coaching, first of all, how did that come about, and how have you found it being on the? I know you talked about it a little bit, but how have you found being on the other side of the fence? I know you're still playing.
Yeah.
So that's another.
It's on both sides of the fence.
Yeah. That's another PG rating. So playing.
Yeah.
You're playing with the girls and you're coaching them at the same time.
Yeah.
That must be at times difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would imagine, as opposed to Krippner that's not playing with them, that's a little bit more removed from that.
Yeah, and I think that's why it works so well. Kripp and I approached Phil and the senior kind of support branch back in November and kind of floated this idea of us doing it together, and with the possibility that I would continue playing, and we were welcome with nothing but support and want to make it work. And it's definitely had its challenges early in terms of player coaching, but I think to have Kripp helping me alongside with all those types of challenges that I kind of sometimes go through my head. But honestly, trainings work really well. I'm still in there amongst it with the girls in the drills, and game day I kind of have a bit of a ritual in my head of I'm coach, and then just before we run out, I try and flip that switch.
I was going to say, is that hard to take the hat off?
Sometimes I'll honestly just go away, whether it's I just need 2 minutes to myself to kind of check myself back into my role in that moment, and just remind myself of the trademarks of our team, and I do, just before we run out, I'll go and just have a minute or two by myself, and it's player hat on from that point.
And we've got that really good comms because like even on the weekend, and you're like, okay, I need to go be a player. I'm like, all right, stop being a coach. Obviously I still go to it during the game. Haven't had to send a runner out to ask a question yet.
So if Boscoe's not doing the things that you needed to do,
she'll send
do you have no problems in saying, listen, did you go to Megan?
I think it was
go there
3 minutes into the first game. I got my first message from
I sent Claudia out to run a message to say, stop walking.
Wow.
And I stopped walking.
She stopped walking. Because we have this saying, clear is kind. And I think she'd say the same to me. I did boo her last night at training when she dropped a mark, but that was just
tough love. Tough love.
But that's good though in a lot of ways, that you can still deliver that hard message and you're not taking offence to it.
No.
Were you being slack? Were you working?
No, I must have just had a gutful. And
so had I.
Clearly. Well, it seems to be a good working relationship. So
absolutely.
But actually, when I did know that you two were doing it, I thought, that works well. I get that, and you both have such a great understanding and knowledge of the game, and I know you guys would mentor, because you did that back when I was doing it. You'd mentor a lot of the younger players coming in, so it was obviously a pretty easy fit, really.
Yeah, we've got this. We joke that we have one brain cell. Not just between the two of us, but Jamie is our under-17s development pathway.
Jamie Senior?
Yes. Yeah. And so he helps out with coaching the resis. And so
I know Jamie really.
Sorry. Just first name terms only.
I don't know what he's doing with his hair though these days. I think he's been watching.
Do you want to show the camera your hair today?
But I've always been aware, right? Jimmy, I don't know. Has he been watching Point Break a lot? I don't know.
Movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's just trying to get him to maybe the character. Is it Bodie? I don't know who
He's
it
just
was.
in a new era of cool.
Yeah,
And I
whatever.
love it.
Oh, look,
Whatever it
I
is,
love
it's
him.
working.
I think he's great. I think he's great.
That's
He
how
is- he
we
is
have a
good.
shared
He's-
brain cell with him. So
Yeah.
it pings between the three of us, and
Because
we're
he's
on the same page.
he's looks after a lot of the sort of 17 players that are potentially going to go on and play
Correct.
senior footy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the younger players in that senior squad.
Yeah.
He's our connection between
He's your
the
connection
two
between
areas.
the two.
Yeah, yeah.
Have no doubt that he'd be heavily involved.
Yeah,
Doing
yeah.
a great job there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's a godsend. Like he's
Yeah.
been so fantastic for the start of the season, and I'm sure throughout the whole season. But yeah, we joke that we all share a brain cell, so we're
Yeah.
all on the same page.
Yeah.
And he's a physio too.
Yeah.
So does he give you?
And he's a North fan as well.
Well, we've actually got North Melbourne this week, so I'm gonna.
We had them last week, and he wore his beanie to training last night, and I said, "Get away from him."
Yeah. See, that's the thing. You don't wear your
Yeah.
beanie when you have a draw.
Yeah.
You do if you're North Melbourne.
Yeah, if you're North Melbourne.
Oh, look, they'd be singing the song quietly.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Boscoe said something during our talk last night that I had to control myself from saying classic Essendon fan. What was it about?
Oh,
You never
God.
lose, you just learn.
Yeah,
And it's like
yeah.
classic Essendon fan.
Like that.
I didn't say that.
23 years of pain.
Has it been 20? Wow.
Oh no, it's it's a long. I
Nice.
think it's a long time.
Yeah, we won't talk about it. It's
Yeah.
very sad. Now, we clearly have a lot of talented youth players coming through the ranks. How important for it is the senior players to get behind and support them? Because I know the one thing that you guys do really well, especially in that space, is I'll often be down watching the 17s women or play, or the juniors that are on here, and you guys generally get half your team down sometimes supporting those girls. That must be huge for them on the field to know that, you know, they're stars, I suppose, down there watching them, and obviously the hope that some of them may come up and play senior football, and could be at any stage.
Yeah, I think it's so important to have that connection, and like we touched on Jamie being that connection between the two, but having a connection between the players as well. I distinctly remember one of the years when there were Morgs, Hibbo, Millsy, and potentially Brooke. I can't remember if she was playing that year. They're all girls that are playing now in the senior women's space, but they were in under 17s, and we needed players in resis. So they come up and played in resis, absolutely crushed it. I'm sure they've all got equal best on. Like, they're amazing. Morgs is now our resis vice captain.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And then the next year they aged up into the space, and they said that they were so much more comfortable coming in because they knew the people had played with us at least once. I can't remember if it was only one game, but that really solidifies to me how important it is to have that connection, because it's absolutely terrifying turning up as like a teenage girl into a team full of women that you may or may not know, who are all very good football players, and you've gone from being your oldest in your age group to now being the youngest, and it's a totally different setting. It's like graduating from school and going to uni. It's like so it's so important to foster those relationships and have that kind of relationship from the get-go, so it is a comfortable and welcoming place for them to come into. And like I said before, we have so much to learn as older players or coaches from the younger players, because they have a totally different experience from football. So it's such a cool space, because you see your Mia Gears who've played since they were in the womb and are these elite athletes and have so much to give, but then the senior players also have a lot to give to her from a lived experience side of things. So it's really cool.
I think it's really important for the players to have that role. It's great that you've got the welfare people that are around them, but I think it's bigger when it comes from the players, and the players giving them that support. It's sort of see you do, they do. But you guys do it really, really well. Now, Krippner, this one might be a little bit more, well, it is for you. You've been heavily involved with the senior committee. I don't think you have been, Boscoe, so I'm writing something. Past that one. Over the years, that has obviously given you a different perspective on how everything's run behind the scenes. How has that gone? And how important was that role for you, even in, I suppose, coaching today?
It's been really interesting. I was on the senior committee for 3 years, once as a general committee member and then 2 years as the secretary. I like to involve myself in things. Like, I just need to be a part of it. And I thought it was, I've always...
Boscoe got down.
I won't shut up.
I'd like to be able to coach him sometimes. I'm joking. Did anyone walk off? Well, I have one left anyway.
And when I first joined the committee, Maxie, who was I can't remember if she was the director of football at that time or moving into that role, Emily Maxwell. So she'd been at the club for ages.
She was 21 or 22.
Yeah.
She became the director.
All the years blend together when you're this old.
Yes.
And she just said, look, I need some more people on the committee. We obviously had a really good committee, but from the women's space there wasn't much representation.
We need a scientist.
Yeah, cheerleader. That's actually what they say about at every football club. They're like, we need someone who's a cheerleader, a scientist, a loudmouth, will not shut up, and talks about herself a lot. And I was like, guys, you've hit the jackpot.
Yeah. Where do I sign?
Still waiting for my check in the mail, but that's fine.
That's okay.
And so when Maxie said that, I was like, sure, why not? I'll come join in. Like, maybe they'll select me in the team. No, and I've growing up, my parents were always part of the sporting committees of the things that we're in. So I was like, that's just the way it was done. So I wanted to get involved, and it was really eye-opening because that was around the time we were doing our review of the women's program as well. So I saw kind of like the back end of that sort of thing, and it's just really cool to see the way a football club works, and it's so heavily dependent on volunteers and people like standing up and actually doing something. Like, it doesn't run if people don't fill those roles. So
absolutely.
It just felt like the right thing to do. And then once I started coaching, I said, bye, I'm going to coach now.
Well, I suppose it'd be hard to have that role, coach. Or maybe pass the baton over to Boscoe to jump in.
Well, Tel's taken my role over secretary now, so it takes the minutes for me.
He takes over for you. Yeah. You don't miss it.
I miss knowing everything. I'm sure I will end back up on the committee one day. But I do also have a real job, unfortunately. So as much as I would love to spend my entire life doing footy, I've got to save life.
We had a female president, senior female president.
I don't think so.
Could be.
I'm not sure that's right.
I think that's her end game, Boscoe. I really do.
I see it. The doctor.
It'll be Queen. It won't be president. Queen of the football club.
Queen of the football club. Why not? You're the president. You can do whatever you want. Finally, legends, outside of footy and work, what do you guys do to relax, or is there any quirky things that you do, like train spotting or?
I like to crochet.
Really?
Yeah, I've actually really taken up crocheting. So it was one of Gibbo's daughter's first birthday recently, and I crocheted her a turtle. So.
My nan used to crochet stuff. Yeah. She was like 80.
Yeah, my joints are like 80. So
what about you, Boscoe?
Relaxing. No, not crocheting. Look, I'm pretty stock standard. I think like my Monday to Friday is always very hectic, so I really look forward to just like a Saturday morning, like coffee at the dog park. That's my type of relaxing. Yeah. Watching my dog do zoomies, because then I don't have to run with her, so that's relaxing for me.
She really does zoom.
She's a zoomer.
And sitting there hoping for the Bombers.
We sit and we hope and we pray. And it's just a cycle that never ends.
And you never lose, you just learn.
That's it.
You do. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on Gorilla Talk. You don't go home empty handed. So I don't know who would prefer the gooey choc or the plain milk one.
I'm going to pinch the gooey choc.
Thank
you so much.
Guys, thank you so much.
Thank
it's
you,
been
Robbo.
awesome. Thank you. Cheers. Did you just tap yourself?